All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We've got a good webinar planned for you today. While we wait for more people to join and stuff like that, I'm going to just introduce myself and kind of the organization that I work for. My name is Cassidy Albertson. I'm the general manager at ARC Business Systems, and we're a software company that really focuses on tagging a lot of different products, right? The software is really meant to integrate your business processes by tagging them with barcode or RFID, and then being able to give you guys that visibility into your assets and your inventory and stuff like that. With me on the webinar is Danny McBee, and she's our account executive. She's going to be all of your best friends. I mean, it's going to be, you're going to love getting to know her as well. As we wrap up, what we'll do is we'll share out her information as well as some links and how you can get in touch with us. All right. So with that, I'm going to walk through a little bit about what QuickTrack RFID is, what it's meant to do, and everything. Just a little bit of information, a little bit of background behind it, right? So the slides are called Power Up Your Inventory Tracking with RFID, because that's really where the power lies. So quick agenda, just what I'm going to talk about here is we're going to talk about the difference between the assets and the inventory, what that difference is, what QuickTrack applies to versus what our other software, Gray Trunk RFID, applies to. Then we're going to define the goal of inventory tracking, and I'm going to keep it super simple for you guys. It's not going to be drawn out. And then we're going to set 3 objectives with a little added detail in there. We're going to identify the missing tools. Maybe some of you have started this RFID journey. Some of you might be just kicking the tires to see what's there. And then finally, I'm going to walk you through an actual full demo of the inventory management software called QuickTrack RFID. And I'd love to get questions answered and stuff like that. So as you have questions, and no matter the time, feel free to throw them into that Q&A, and we'll get them answered to the best of our ability. All right. So the difference between assets and inventory, really, asset tracking is going to be your long-term assets. These are things that last years and years, and usually they're a little higher value, right? So things like machinery, other equipment, some vehicles, really anything that you want to track for the long term, and track things like maintenance and depreciation, and also things that you want to track from location to location. So asset tracking is really built into our Gray Trunk RFID software. And what we noticed was, as customers came on board with Gray Trunk RFID, a lot of customers were trying to fit their inventory management into an asset management tool. And it really sparked the interest and the idea behind QuickTrack RFID, which is our inventory tracking software. And so this is specifically around short-term goods. That's things that are consumable, right? Places like retail, you can use track it from like purchase orders, and then you can track it all the way into your warehouse and out through a sales order, stuff like that. And it's really meant to show you the stock levels of where you're at, help with cycle counting, and report on a bunch of different fields and categories inside of that. So today, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about inventory tracking. Hopefully that sounds like the webinar you guys signed up for. I think you'll see what I mean going forward. So what's the goal here? What's the goal of inventory tracking? Well, it's simply put, it's to minimize stock loss and boost efficiency. Let's be real. It's tough to know what your stock is, where it is at times, especially if you're using a spreadsheet or just downloading it into somebody's brain, right? You're not taking the time to actually view what's going on in your inventory. So how do we get there? Well, we're going to set up those 3 objectives that I talked about. All right. Now, the three objectives, the first one is just knowing what inventory you have. That's a matter of setting up your categories, your products, being able to describe those products, and then really being able to evaluate your quantities, right? So that's the first objective. The next one is to know where your inventory is. So if this is a great example of, working from purchase order. If I've got a purchase order out with a company and I'm expecting 10 units, knowing that those 10 units are coming and where they're coming from is very important. And then the check-in and check-out. The check-in is how you receive inventory, right? So we're fulfilling that purchase order and we're putting it in a warehouse rack bin, somewhere. You can be as specific as you want. You can be as high level as you want there as well. And then the checkout is more of your process around filling sales orders. You can build different packages or kits, or just build out a purchase order based on what your customer needs or what your end user needs. And then finally is the cycle count. Sometimes, the bins get switched around. Maybe they get moved to a different location. But just being able to track those efficiently is our goal here. And then finally, it's know how your inventory is. And this is really the reporting structure that we've got built into QuickTrack RFID. Knowing how your inventory is just as important, because you need to know what the valuation of your products are, how many outstanding purchase orders you have versus how many sales orders you have, and then really being able to manage that with alerts, right? So we're talking about alerts on low stock, high stock, maybe delayed payment. A lot of those types of things are built into QuickTrack RFID. So then how do you get started? What do you need? There's three main things. It's software, tags, and a scanning device. I'm going to show you all of these throughout this webinar, with the software being the main focus. Of course, the tags that we have available through our partner company, Metalcraft, is a huge array of them and can fit almost any need. And then the scanning devices, I'm going to walk you through at the end of this, just to show you what devices we support, because it can mean a lot of different things depending on the industry and the application. And so what do you get when you have all of that figured out and you're finally starting? Well, you're going to end up saving time and money. And that's what everybody came here to do, right? So we're going to save time by making it easy to receive our goods and ship products. I mean, it's really easy to scan, especially with the power of RFID. And then you're also getting significantly more accurate scanning and being able to visualize that inventory is huge. But finally, the reduced searching for inventory. There's a neat feature built in that can actually locate an item for you. So we'll be looking at that as well. And all of this is to save money. I mean, time is money. And you're spending less time to conduct those cycle counts instead of scanning individual barcodes to get an accurate representation of what you have in inventory. You can easily do this with an RFID reader. The other key point is to increase data-driven decisions by having that data in front of you in a platform. You'll really be able to make cost-effective decisions. And one of those examples is eliminating overstocking, right? You don't want to be too leveraged in one area of your business. So with that, I think we're going to kick it live. Remember, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to jump into that Q&A and Danny and I will get them answered. But let me share this other window here. Perfect. So this is the QuickTrack RFID dashboard. What you're going to notice right offhand is that you have access to almost all of your settings right within this left sidebar here. Okay, so it's really meant to allow you accessibility to navigate anywhere very, very quickly. The overview is pretty self-explanatory here with inventory in hand, your inventory value, your different products. And then on this right side is really the quantity to be received. So that's any purchase orders that you have out, products with excess quantity, products with low quantity. Again, self-explanatory, but What these are based on is the thresholds that you set up in products. And I'll show you that here in a little bit. Again, there's a couple other reports. Here's top performing, and then down here is your recent orders. Not necessarily all of the orders, but your recent ones, whether that's sales orders or purchase orders. All right. And what I want to do is kind of walk you through what this looks like to actually get set up. And the best way to start is actually to start at the organization level. So what you'll do is you've actually got system users in here. You can see I've got Danny put into my system. She's on my account as an account executive. She has admin rights. She can log in, do anything that we need to there. From there, you're going to set up your suppliers. You know, most people know who their suppliers are, and the more details that you have here, the better. So adding a supplier is incredibly easy because all it takes is actually an organization name. It's the only required field to get started. The email address, contact numbers, all of that just go in another level of detail, right? Where when we generate those reports, we're getting significantly better results. And finally is the address. So if I just want to create a new one, we'll go with Metalcraft as our tag supplier, right? And if I'm adding an address, we'll go like this. There's somewhere over here on 9th Street. And it's this simple. I mean, it's meant to be incredibly easy to use. And then you just add the supplier, and that's as simple as that. Customers, now adding a customer, you're going to add the same level of detail, but there are more required fields. Well, actually, its organization name is the only required field, but when you make a sale, you do need to add an address. So instead of adding one, we're just going to go and look into JG Wentworth here, view these details. You can see that JG Wentworth is for some reason in Sheboygan, and they had an order canceled. You can see all that, but most importantly, they have an address, right? So if they need to create a sales order with us, we've got it ready to go. From there, you're going to actually work on your own internal stuff, which is easiest to start with your warehouse. So you can see here that I've got 4 warehouses. The RFID warehouse is the one that I've started with. There's a couple of other ones, the concession stand, and I've put the address as the White House, the dental office at 42 Wallaby Way, and the clubhouse is there in Georgia, out in Augusta, right? So you add a warehouse with very few details. You know, we're working on name, emails, and the manager name. And then again, the address just adds another level to your tracking. So with these warehouses in place, you can actually add the different racks or shelves to your warehouses. So I've got a couple set up here, and just to show you guys that it's a free-form field, you can use numbers because that's actually what it's called. So the rack number, right? But you can also just enter in a description here, and I've found that a lot of customers value the flexibility to do that. I mean, if you want to talk about east wall shelves instead of, you know, rack number 6, it's a lot more descriptive, and it helps your actual user base interact with the software. So then one more layer deep, and this is completely optional, is actually the bin level. And your bins get tied to a rack, but there's also a unique feature here that you can add a bin tag ID, and you can add a rack ID as well, but you can add a bin tag ID, which makes receiving the inventory significantly faster. And I'll show you that. But just a couple that I've got added. We've got a freezer chest in the walk-in cooler inside the concession stand. We've got a south closet in the dental office. So there's just a variety of things, and a few of these have bin tag IDs, and I'll show you how those play into effect here in a little bit. So once you have all your infrastructure set up, it's really time to focus on your products, and the highest level is going to be your categories. So here you can see that a category is a simple descriptor. It's a way to group different products and understand exactly what inventory you have in stock. So to create a category, it's as simple as a name. we'll just go hats, and that's it. Now, as soon as you get into it, everybody asks, well, what if I have a bunch of different categories that I want to build into this? And we do support subcategories. So here you can do like bucket, and you can create another one, snapback, right? So you guys get it. It's as simple as creating a subcategory, and then you can add products in there. Now the product level is where things get very detailed. We're trying to have a very user-friendly interface here, but we also want to make sure that we're capturing the right amount of detail so that you guys can make those data-driven decisions. So product name, we'll just, since we just made the hat, we'll go red Metalcraft hat like I have on today. And description, it's just red. We'll just call it that. Lowest quantity, these are those thresholds that I was kind of alluding to earlier on the reports and stuff like that. But really your lowest quantity is where you want the alert to come in. So if it's 2 or lower, I'm going to get an alert. I'm going to get, one of these little alarm bells going off, an email, whatever the case might be. And the highest quantity is the opposite side. We don't want to be overstocking, right? And not unless you're overstock.com, but the highest quantity we want is 20. We're not going to try to move these at any bulk volume or anything like that. And then here's where you pick your supplier, and you can see that the list loads, and we're just going to go with Metalcraft, supplying the Metalcraft hat. But to continue on that, we're going to actually add the categories that we just made, snapback, unit price. This is where you can actually set your purchase price. So like if we got this for $12 and we're trying to sell this, it's a little different. But if we're just, giving them away, we can just set that price completely equal, right? There's a couple things here. There's check boxes. Want to be notified. So this is that alarm bell. This is the alert, right? You're signing up for all of those alerts, and you can check that or uncheck it, and you can take it off as non-trackable if it's something that doesn't actually need to leave, right? If your inventory is going to stay in-house, maybe it's just, an employee uses it for a little bit and then they always put it back. It always stays at the company. You can always uncheck this. So once we have our product, you can see here, we've got our product. It's really about receiving your inventory. And so what I'll show you here is we're actually going to check in a red hat. Now, you guys noticed I didn't do a purchase order. I didn't do a sales order or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bypass the order here, and I'm just going to go find that product. And once I find that product, I'm going to add inventory. And an RFID tag is as simple as just putting the actual EPC. So if you have a way to read that, or if you have a barcode and a human readable on the front, that's really the best way to do it. So let's see, I've got one here. It's 4231. 786, something like that. And so now I'm putting it in the warehouse. I'm going to say that, this is really supposed to be in the clubhouse on the south wall, and I don't have a bin there. So it's just going to go on that top shelf. So I saved that, and now I've got one in my inventory. And if we go and look, you can see that's the tag I entered in, the category, and exactly what I have in inventory. Now, we've got a bunch of Oral-B toothbrushes and stuff like that in here. And if I'm running a dental office, just as an example, I might have some dental assistants and stuff like that. And so there's a couple different orders that we could create. We can go ahead and create this. Let's say JG Wentworth just got braces for their kid, right? And our highly recommended toothbrush is Oral-B circular electric toothbrush, right? So this is where the addresses come in. We're just making a sale. It's nothing complicated, but then we're just adding the product. We're going to sell them one of these Oral-B electric toothbrushes. And so just like that, we've got a sales order set up and a payment. We create the order, And there it is. So JG Wentworth went ahead and bought that toothbrush. It's placed right now. They haven't paid. We haven't shipped it or anything like that. Very, very similar on the other end is actually the purchase. So if that one toothbrush sets us below our threshold, we can actually just go ahead and put that order right in. And it's the same exact fields. It's meant to be simple. It's meant to be easily understood. And again, these are the addresses from that dental supplier, right? So we're just clicking through here. We're going to make sure that we have enough in stock. It looks like we have 11. We know we're selling 1, but we better get like 10 more, right? So let's add 10. And then we're going to go down here and we're going to say, yeah, well, we're pending payment. And we're going to plan on paying on the last of June. So now that I have 2 orders here, this is actually how you can receive inventory as well. So check in and check out. So if I got those orders and I just wanted to do 1 at my desk, it's as simple as just picking your order, searching. I know I'm expecting 10, and you can manually enter in these tags, right? And that's great. But a lot of times, and where the power comes in is with RFID. And if I go back over to this purchase order and I've got, let me see, this dental supplies one again, it's a partial order. So I've already received part of it. And now I'm looking and I've received 10 scrubs, 8 coats, 12 of these toothbrushes, right? I know that I've got a couple left. And so this is where I'm going to jump over to the mobile and I'm going to kind of show you exactly how the mobile interacts with everything you've set up here. So you take a look here. Let me make sure we got her on. All right. So you can see it's going to be very similar. We're not trying to trick anybody. This is a very simple interface. We've got our inventory. You can see the quantity we've got in hand, all the categories that we have set up, and the total number of orders as well. So if I'm receiving something in and it's as simple as this, we're going to go in here. I'm going to choose my RFID reader, the tags that I have are RFID, and I'm just checking in. This is where I'm picking my order ID, and this is the partial order here. Now, I've got to decide where I'm going to receive these items in, and I can actually just go ahead and go like this. You can scan a barcode, and I'll try to get nice and high. Barcode. There we go. Okay, so on the other side of this, and I must not have this barcode in here. On the other side, you can actually enter in exactly where you want to put this. Okay, so when in doubt, enter it in, and we're going to put this in the wicker basket for now. And then I'm choosing what I'm actually receiving. You can see I've only scanned in 7 of these scrubs, but I'm expecting 10. So let's say I got all 3 of those. I'm going to scan these in. And now I'm just taking my reader that's connected, and this is just our TSL, and I'm just going to scan at a really low level some tags. And there's 3, right? So that's what I'm expecting. I can look at the item scan to make sure that they match the tags that I have. And all of these are right in front of me. So that's good. I'm going to put them in there, south closet, wicker basket, and save those changes. And those are done, right? So it's as easy as that. We're just checking in. And then on the flip side is the check-in out. So if I go over and I'm just on my phone here, I'm looking at my orders. Let's see here. JG Wentworth. All right. Here's that product that they want. It's the Oral-B electric toothbrush. And again, it's just as simple as identifying that order, the ZT, and we're just going to check out that toothbrush. So now I'm scanning. And again, I've got my reader. And I'm going to just try to find that one. There it is. And I can verify it. Yep, that's the tag that I want. Save changes. And I'm moving on. So that's that's as simple as it gets. We took a purchase order in, we took a sales order out, and now in here I can actually see all these reports, right? And one of the ones that I talked about is the inventory evaluation. So if at the end of the day I'm done with purchase orders, sales orders, all of that, and I want to see exactly where my inventory is and how that affects me, I can come here to inventory evaluation. And then this just sums up your products and exactly how many you have and what your total value is. So you can see that I've got the toothbrushes and everything that I've received in, and there's a couple pages. You can see that I scanned in those green scrubs. So I've got all 10. So it's meant to be easy to use. It's meant to be incredibly friendly to actually fulfill orders and receive orders and keep track of your inventory. So let's see. I think, yeah, so I did forget this one area, and this area is going to become more powerful with our roadmap that we're working on here. And it's really this measuring unit, okay? So the measuring unit is applied to all of our products. But it's a great way of grouping, like if you don't want to individually tag, all of your toothbrushes, and you'd rather just tag a box of toothbrushes to understand where you're at in inventory, maybe it makes it easier to receive. You can just set that up as a measuring unit, and you always buy one box of 10 toothbrushes. You can just set it up here as a box. And the measuring unit is not meant to be complicated. It is just a name, right? So we're just grouping it, and what that looks like on the actual product. Let me see if I can find, well, we'll just use my hat since I set that up. So in here, you can actually edit that measuring unit right here and say, boxes of hats, right? And maybe the box of hats would actually be $120, and the selling price is $120. So of course we've got those. That's another good way to group and everything like that. And we have a bunch of feedback that we've taken from customers and beta testers and stuff like that. And we've got a really nice roadmap filled out for the next couple of months. One of which is actually making this page customizable, this inventory page, because a lot of times our customers and people that have been using QuickTrack RFID don't really need to see this tag. They'd rather have specific points of data that mean like a lot more to them, right? Instead of seeing the RFID tag or the SKU, they just need the name. They want to see the dates and the price and stuff like that. So we're going to work on the customizability of this page, as well as being able to customize at the product level by adding in a few more custom fields. So, in the short term here, what we're going to do is when you're on this edit details page, there's going to be an area to add your own custom field. And really that empowers all of you to be descriptive, to add more detail, and being able to track exactly what you're trying to track. So that's something that's coming up on the roadmap. The other thing is we're going to start evaluating a few point of sale integrations. We've heard from a lot of our customers and beta testers who are like, hey, we'd love for you guys to integrate with Square or some other point of sale system. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that feedback. We're going to look at how many people are asking for which point of sale, and then we're going to decide the best design to implement that. So that's one thing that's on the roadmap. It's a little far out. And then the other one is fixed readers as well. So as you guys saw, I'm just using this little mobile reader, and it makes cycle counts and everything incredibly easy because you can just walk around and check in from room to room. But one of the things that we're going to be focused on here is fixed readers. So if you want to set it up with the point of sale, or maybe you just want to sit at a desk and check in items very quickly, what we'll do is we'll have an integration for a fixed reader where you can just slide an RFID tagged item over the reader and be able to check that in, check that out. So those are a couple of the things on the roadmap. I love the feedback that I've been getting. I'm open to it. If you have any feedback of what you've seen today or have any questions, feel free to use that Q&A. And then finally, one other integration question that we get is around ERP. And very similar to point of sale, we're trying to decide on which ERP is going to suit our customer base the best. So we're taking a look at all of those and then figuring out a way to approach this and design a system that makes it easy to use for those ERP customers, but also doesn't impact the quality of simplicity that we tried to build here. Let's see. We've got a question about reserved quantity. So one of the questions that we got, I think it was the last week we got this question as well, is reserving. And as you guys can see on the screen, there is an area here to reserve quantity. So if you want to, hold something for somebody, you can just say, held for Danny, and then it's reserved and that's set aside, right? So now what you see is that alarm bell goes off because that reserved quantity puts me well under my threshold for the red metalcraft hat. So you can see that alarm bell going off, but we do have the ability to reserve and take a note on what that reservation means. So yeah, the next thing I'll show you here while I have my screen shared is actually our pricing. And so this is very simple pricing. It's just $9.95 per year. And we have some discounts available depending on the readers and tags that you go with. But this is our simple pricing. And then also you get a chance to schedule a demo or a touch point with Danny, right? So if you want this page, it's just as simple as QuickTrackRFID.com/pricing. Now the other one that I'm going to show you is actually our supported Bluetooth RFID handheld readers. And being a strictly mobile site, you'll see here that all of these are just handhelds. We've got the Janum, which is our all-in-one, and I've got one here on my desk as well. So you can see it's an all-in-one. The phone is built right on top, and it can be connected to a cellular network, so they can use it in the field if you want to just supply that as a corporate phone. The TSL 1128 is the little one that I've been using. It's very lightweight, which makes it very popular. The Zebra RFID 4031 Premium, this one is actually considered a little more durable than the TSL 1128, and that's the reason for the price difference. Is it has some of those built-in bumps and protections and stuff like that. And then the last one, the Zebra RFID 8500, is really for our legacy customers that have been using Gray Trunk for a long time. So we recommend these top 2 or 3 for our QuickTrack RFID customers. So yeah, we've got one question that came in and asked if we could make it an open API. It's definitely something we're considering. We know that other companies have their own developers, their own people, in place to make integrations. And if we just simply open that up, that'd be great. But we also have to evaluate that risk a little bit and make sure that we're protecting ourselves. So the short answer is we don't have one right now. I am leaning towards making a separate instance of QuickTrack RFID for people that are wanting to integrate with our API and build out those integrations. Yeah, but it's a good question. Let's see. Danny, did I miss anything?
Nope, not that I can think of. I'll throw my information in the chat if any of you guys have any questions or want to kind of reach out and get some demos set up. But I think you covered everything. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're always open to questions, and Danny's going to throw it in there probably in the Q&A section. So for all of you, thank you for coming. I appreciate your time, and we'll stay on here for a little bit just to answer any questions that pop up. Awesome. Thank you all.